study used participatory action research to engage refugee women and girls and help put their needs and concerns at the center of how aid distributions are organized and implemented. As we know, abuse of power is at the center of sexual exploitation and abuse. And within participatory action research, we also seek to constantly reflect on our own use of power and challenge and examine that. This is very important to our accountability and our growth as researchers, as aid workers, as policymakers.
We initially began with a workshop where key topics were discussed, such as participatory action research, gender, power, ethical considerations in humanitarian settings, as well as the selection criteria for the women and girls co-researchers, how they will be recruited, the research site locations, which was later on determined to be Tripoli in north of Lebanon, as well as looking into the tools and documents that we would use, such as the consent forms, the interview guides, the focus group guides, and all other relevant documents.
The other important element, which I appreciated a lot in this study, if you want, is the fact that there was no discrimination when it comes to looking into persons of concern. Like we looked into, refugees, we looked into, we looked into locals, we looked into, women from different nationalities, etc. It was such an inclusive project that really, in terms of inclusiveness and diversification and quality of tools, I thought this is something a little bit different than what already exists.
The best ways to engage communities with the findings is first to organize in small groups and showing them in a consultative process the tools and how these tools can help not only women, girls, but also minorities from, for example, the LGBTIQ+ community, because we know specifically with the confinement and the pandemic, as well as the economic crisis that is being lived in Lebanon, they are finding big difficulties in accessing any kind of help and aid. Sometimes aid is being, we've heard and we've read reports on how some aid is not easily received. So we can engage with specific NGOs working with and CSOs working with LGBTIQ+ communities, as well as with NGOs and CSOs working with people with special needs, as well as with different communities, such as the refugees communities here in Lebanon, as well as the foreign domestic workers communities in Lebanon.
Because at programs level, sometimes you might not understand what really takes place on the ground, practically. But when this tool is able to bring out, let's say, for example, a disabled woman is not served timely, a pregnant woman is not, and it comes out very clearly in the research. So that definitely will inform for proper programming, and also for other actors to be able to know, is there really a challenge?
So I found using these methods definitely enlightening. It's also very different from other forms of research. So I would say in participatory research, things go a lot slower. You spend a lot of time making sure that everyone has a shared understanding of the method and the approach that's being used. I would say in previous research I've done, it's often the researcher who has that knowledge of a method, and they're the ones organizing everything. And research participants aren't so privy to that knowledge. But I would say one piece of participatory action research that I really appreciate is all of the shared learning that's done, and also treating research participants as really experts here, which is the truth in prevention of sexual exploitation and abuse. I think this method was appropriate because women and girls are the experts in contextual safeguarding. So this method allowed us to partner with them and learn from them during the process.
Any organization that's working with women and girls, most importantly, is to appreciate the role that women and girls can bring to the table in terms of when it comes to decision making and planning for programs and projects that's intended for their own outcomes. Women have a lot of experience and skills to share, and that they best know what the issues they face are and should definitely be included.
We owe answers to the people we interviewed. It's very common among humanitarians that we basically go and ask information from people, but we never provide feedback. I think what is really important is that we take time and effort to provide feedback to communities and to what were the outcomes of the study, and how do we want to engage them in the response as well.